Welcome to the Flower Prophecies, a podcast exploring all things flower essences and remedies and flower therapy, and how this vibrational plant medicine has the potential to heal and shift our individual and collective health and consciousness. We'll be diving deep into the specifics of individual essences, nature's energetics, emotional healing and growth, as well as hearing client case studies, hosting special guests and professionals, and I'll be sharing my own personal explorations and philosophies channeled straight from the flowers. Through my own unearthing, I have discovered what I believe to be the most profound teaching of the flowers, and I now wish to share with you the practice of alchemizing fear into beauty. Welcome to episode 2 of the Flower Prophecies. Thank you everyone for joining us, and I just want to say thank you as well if you've listened to episode 1. I'm just stoked to hear how much you're all loving it, and appreciate it so much if you have liked or shared or rated it. And if you haven't, I would be so grateful if you would like to go back and do that. So welcome to the second episode, and today we are diving into the world and the practice of energy medicine. And we touched on this briefly on last week's episode on how the flowers work on an energetic level. And today we are going to delve deeper in with our guest here on the importance of energy medicine and energy healing and the levels in which this practice can actually work to and how we can work with it, and also why it is so necessary at this current time that we're in. So Dennae is a quantum healer working in the same realms of energy medicine and healing, and drawing on the field of quantum physics and this understanding that everything in the universe is energy. Dennae's passion is for guiding others in tapping into their own potential in this area of energy healing to heal themselves holistically. And Dennae and I have been working together for the past 6 or so months, I think, and we've become like pretty good friends. Yes. And we've been able to sort of support each other with our different modalities and practices, which has had a really beautiful effect, and we've gone through quite a beautiful journey of intertwining and interconnecting these two practices. So welcome to the Flower Prophecies, Dennae.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited.
Yeah, so I'm excited to have you. So to get started, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you came to be where you are now, and
so I'm an energy healer and intuition coach. So my passion is really like guiding people back to themselves and their core essence that they have within themselves, and then to live their life from that space. And I love witnessing like the profound changes that people have in their life once they know how to really connect with that and utilize that properly, like correctly. There's a lot of spiritual stuff out there, but the most powerful thing we have is our own spirit and our own connection to our higher self. And how I got into it was really just trying to make sense of my own experiences that I'd had, and really just trying to like piece it together and make sense of it. And once I kind of like really understood and how to use the energy, that's when I really became passionate about it.
Amazing. And I think it's very, underrated, may or may not be the right word, but when we understand how much energy affects us, because we are energy, but when we understand how much energy affects us and we utilize tools to actually safeguard that and protect that and work with that, it is so transformational and so life-changing. So thank you for sharing your gifts with everyone.
No problem.
Yeah, amazing. And so I also wanted to ask you, what is your history, if any, and connection to flower essences?
Well, I had heard of them previously, and I was very interested in them and had researched a lot about them and the different kind of modalities. The one that I was the most drawn to was the Australian bush flower essences, and there was a lot of like information, and I've watched a lot of videos and stuff on that. And basically, I think just interested in like a different type of like energy healing and exactly how it works and like all of the different ways and all the different flowers and how they can help us. So, but I'd never used any until I met you. So, yes.
Wow, that's amazing. And I was saying to you before, it's so interesting because I actually didn't realize until right now that you had so deeply researched and sort of looked into the flower essences and had been so drawn to them. I definitely know that you mentioned you'd been drawn to them, but I didn't realize how much. So
Yes.
is there anything that sort of really, I guess, grabbed your attention about flower essences and working with them when you were doing that research?
Initially, it was to do with like the work that I was doing at the time. So like a lot of like the energy protection and psychic protection and kind of like enhancing the connection to spirit. That was the thing that really drew me first of all. And then I just kind of went down a bit of a rabbit hole from there. But yeah, initially it was, the energetic protection.
Yeah, and it's so good because the essences themselves actually can help us so much with that energy protection and learning how to work with our own energy as well. Because when we can utilize them to sort of create those barriers and those boundaries to begin with, we actually get to know what we are experiencing without any of that affecting us. And so that allows us to really, I guess, tap into what is ours, what is not ours, which is all about the realm that sort of you work in.
Yes, exactly. One of the first things I like to teach people is to really like pay attention to what they feel, what is around them, and what is theirs and what is not. So most people, I think, and we haven't been taught this, to really kind of pay attention to what's going on around us and our own energy. But yeah, it's really like life-changing. Like once you realize what your own energy feels like, you can really kind of determine what's affecting you from other people or situations or things like that.
Absolutely. And it's funny because I know a lot of people might like sort of second guess whether this is like something that actually affects us or not, or whether it is, I guess, for lack of a better word, legit, or you know, whatever people may like to describe it as. But we've all experienced going into like a room and picking up on a bad energy and, you know, feeling it affect us and our mood and draining our own energy, or like even on the reverse, when we're around people that are happy and joyful, it catches on, right? We're picking up on that energy. That's what is actually happening on an energetic level, is we're picking up on that energy. So if we think about it in that way, we can walk through life being so unaware of who's around us and what they may be going through, and that we're actually unconsciously picking up on that energy.
Yes, exactly. And then we can like carry that with us into the rest of our day or our lives or things like that. So yeah, it's really important to like just have that kind of boundary that you can just release what is not yours.
And it's interesting to note, like, as well, that these can, like, picking up on others' energy can actually affect us on such a deeper level as well.
Yes.
So just like when we go through stress or trauma or anything like that, intense feelings like this that belong to others can actually become stuck in us as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, in my work as well, like a lot of it, usually like the first session that I do with people is actually removing energy that is not theirs. Before I kind of like get into working with their energy, a lot of it is just like removing and releasing everything that is not theirs. It's just been stuck there from like work or relationships or any of that kind of stuff. So
and people may wonder like how it is that you actually go about doing that. And I want to touch a little bit further in the episode about navigating life as a highly sensitive. But I guess for those people who wonder about how you may sort of actually work in this way of like clearing energy for others, or noticing this energy, or being able to actually feel that energy on others, can you sort of explain that in some way?
In some way that makes sense. Sure, it's kind of like I've just always been very aware of energy, and I didn't actually understand exactly what was going on when I was younger. Like I didn't actually know how to have those boundaries in place and how to release what was not mine. So I'd get very overwhelmed, a lot of anxiety. I knew things like were going to happen before they happened, kind of thing. I could just I didn't realize at the time, but I could just read energy very, very well. So that's really kind of like what led me down this path, was really trying to understand it on a very like deep level, and then how to use it, because it's overwhelming when you can feel everyone and everything. So.
And I also, mentioning highly sensitives, I feel like there is such a huge amount of people that go through life and navigate life not realizing that they are highly sensitive. Yes. So, you know, if you are someone who is sort of feeling so affected by other people's moods, or being around certain people, or feeling like you need to be, I guess, please everyone, so you become a people pleaser, or, you know, not wanting to go out and not wanting to live life out in public, and all of these things, if any of these things are actually presenting in your current experience, it could be to do with the fact that you are just taking on so much energy that is not yours, that it is, and you don't know how to, I guess, work with it, or you don't know how to protect yourself from it. So I guess, yeah, energy healing and flower essences both have that capacity to really shift that and to change the lives of people that are going through life in that way.
Yes, yeah, it's very important, because it can be it's very overwhelming. It can create a lot more anxiety, even depression, and not knowing how to like relate to people either. I think that's a big one.
Yes, absolutely. Wow, well, thank you for sharing that. So why do you think this type of medicine and healing is so important and so necessary at the time we're in?
It just heals on such a deep level, and it just uncovers so much about ourselves. Like, we can really learn about ourselves, really learn to process our experiences and our feelings and our emotions, and then really move past it from there. So it's like these things and our experiences are no longer holding us back in place where we can't move forward. We get to rewrite our story.
Yeah, so my practice is really focused all around releasing trauma and rewriting limiting beliefs, and then taking responsibility for creating our own realities. So I'd love to hear your reflections on if this is that same way that you work with your energy healing, or if your approach differs to this.
Yes, so with the flower essences, like as you're taking it, like you start to notice the things that are coming up and things that need to be processed. So with energy healing, I can really kind of tap into a specific emotion from a specific time and age, and then really kind of like release it from there. So it has to be released from the body. So you do kind of have a bit of a healing kind of response.
Yes.
So if you have a trapped emotion of anger, and that kind of gets triggered to be released, for the next couple of days you might actually be feeling very angry, and kind of like processing exactly why and how you can release that. So it's very similar. It's just with the flower essences, it's like brings it up in a very subtle way. With energy healing, you can kind of really tap into each individual emotion.
It's interesting though, because I also feel like for certain people, they do have that quite strong release from the emotion as well. It's more so probably that, like what you were saying, you can tap into specific ones, and then the flower essences, you kind of know the realms that you're working on, but you don't know the specific instances or experiences that they are attached to that are going to be brought up for you. But then you still experience that sort of healing, like the emotional release of it all, and you feel those emotions come up.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, amazing. And so we've worked together to create remedies for you. Now that you're working with them, we've worked together to create some remedies, and I'd love for you to share a little bit about your experience that you've had with them. Firstly, was there anything that surprised you when taking them?
Just how powerful they are. I think I took it that night that you'd given it to me, and by the next morning I was already feeling emotions and things coming up to the surface. So that was shocking. That it was instant.
So fast acting.
Yes. Another thing would just be the level that it went to, and the things that I was holding on to, that I'd been holding on to for a very long time, and just how that was coming up for me to be released. But it was a very deep level.
Yeah. And do you think the things that were coming up for you to be released were things that you were already aware of that needed to be released, or was it sort of bringing to light new experiences and new I guess, reflections that you've never sort of looked at?
What I actually loved about it was that it was showing me things that I hadn't looked at and I didn't believe were actually part of my story, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So I think we all kind of have that like protective kind of thing that, yeah, we just don't see a lot of our own stuff.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And I love that you talk on that, because when you are a healer of your own in any capacity, or you're, very deep into your sort of self-awareness and self-reflection journey, or, whatever it may be, sometimes we can think that we've capped out at what there is, what experiences are stuck, what experiences we've suppressed, what emotions we've suppressed, and we've capped out on like having stuff to release.
Yes.
And it's nice to see that you've reflected on that, because I do know that some people prior to this can think like, I'm good, I don't have anything.
Yes.
I've done the work, which personally I don't think we've ever done all of our work.
Exactly. There's always more.
Yeah, but it's very cool to see how you have taken it on and allowed the remedy to do its work and to release those things, because when we allow it to fully do the work and not sort of block its power to heal so deeply, like you get these amazing sort of releases and transformations.
Yes, and I think there's like only a certain amount of healing we can do ourselves.
Yes.
I think that we heal through each other,
Yes.
Like meeting someone else, like meeting you, has like shown me a different side. Like I had already done a lot of energy healing work and work on myself, but you kind of like just needs that person to show you the other side.
Absolutely. And so have the essences and remedies you've been taking, do you find that they've had any other impact on the way that you actually navigate life, whether it be the way you connect to nature or the way you reflect on self and your practices?
Yes. So what was interesting to me the last couple of weeks or so, it's almost like I feel the flowers are speaking to me, like they're coming to me to be used. So I've made a few of my own essences to use, but it's really just kind of, I can just now feel the energy of the flowers and what it's going to be used for, and how it's going to help me. So which I actually was not expecting that kind of side effect of it, but it's been really fun.
Yeah, that's cool. And so I don't know if you listened to my episode last week. So it's funny because in that episode I sort of talked about how if we don't have the tools or the consciousness or whatever it may be to sort of start our own healing journeys, the flowers deliver it to us. And so that they don't just deliver us the initial tools that we may need, they deliver us amplified tools throughout our whole practice and use of taking them, and throughout our whole journey of taking them and utilizing the flowers as medicine. They gift us like all these different tools throughout the whole time. So whether it be being able to actually communicate with the plants yourself and being drawn to them so that you can understand and start to then tap into your own intuition of what it is that you need next. And this is that consciousness that they're bringing us, which is a connection to self and a connection to our higher self.
Yes. And just the energy of it as well. It's kind of like things that I was like reflecting on and even meditating on last week, and then I found a flower just the other day that is exactly pretty much like my next kind of level that I'm trying to break through. And it just still blows me away when you work with energy and nature. It's just perfect.
Absolutely. And this is just something that I love so much, which I spoke on, is like the synchronicities, but it's like they're to a whole new level. You start to reflect on things that have been in play for months, sometimes even a year or more, that you didn't realize back then but have sort of been playing out in your experience and your connection to the flowers as medicine or your energy healing journeys. They play out, and it's like after like their entirety of playing out, you can reflect back and be like, wow, all of these things were set in place this whole time, and you connect the dots, and it makes it so much more aware, so much more profound how much we can see this huge process of transformation.
Yes. And I think it's, for me, what's been really fun, I actually feel like, you know, like nature is there for us. We are part of nature, but it's just kind of like the flowers to me feel like they're wanting to be used. They're wanting me to use them.
Yes.
So
I so agree. And I guess it is like a side effect. Like you are connected with, you become connected with nature and with flowers and with plants and with trees. And the side effect of that even is that you become present.
Yes.
You become present in your everyday, and you find gratitude because you're finding beauty and connection in everything, and it draws you back into your experience, into the present moment, which is like the number one tool for, I guess, being here in life is presence.
Yes. And just realizing that you are connected to absolutely everything.
Yes.
So yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. So cool. So I guess you and I have been sort of working together with the energy healing and the flower essences. So not only have I been providing remedies for you to work with and sort of guiding you through working with those, you've also been helping me with the energy healing stuff and kind of being able to tap into my own way of manipulating and working with energy and really feeling the sensitivities of energy. And so I guess what has been the most illuminating thing about combining these two practices for you?
Wow. That's a big question. I think it's just about kind of going deeper into understanding like your own energetic vibration, and then understanding from there how to get to a different vibration or a different level to then achieve or receive what you want. So it's kind of just like going more in depth to that and understanding it in a different way. So I'm really loving that at the moment. So,
yeah, I love that too. So it's like, it's kind of like when you aren't doing this work, the amount of, I guess, emotional stuff and things that we navigate in our everyday and things that we have constantly going on for us, and the deeper stuff like can seem so overwhelming and can seem like it's never going to shift, it's never going to end, there's always going to be something else, and it just can sort of be so much to look at from that perspective. But like you're saying now, it's like being able to see it in a different way, view it in a different way from both the working with the essences and in a way of being able to actually work with energy like individually, and being able to understand it, how it works, makes it so much easier.
Yes.
And even if like the hardest of emotions come up, you know, depression or anger, resentment, the hardest emotions, even if they come up, knowing from this different perspective how it is that we're processing them and how it is that we can manage them and how it is that we can heal them or like look at them or get back to our baseline vibration, our baseline frequency, is so eye-opening and so huge in being able to shift how challenging we find that.
Yes. And what I really like about it as well is like there's a lot of stuff out there about, you know, just raise your vibe, or like if, you know, like just be happy and you'll attract abundance, or raise your vibe and win the lottery or something like that. But it's like if you don't understand where your energy is at right now, then you can't really, you know, it's not just as simple as raising your vibe.
Exactly.
So like, you know, people that are trying to manifest things, and everyone wants, you know, like love and abundance and all of that kind of stuff, but it's not as simple as just raising your vibe. You have to understand your energetic signature right now.
Absolutely.
Alter it from that point.
Absolutely.
And then you can let in the higher vibration.
The emotion that may be stuck within us and actually holding us back from raising our vibration. If we're just not giving that any attention, we're not going to find ourselves in a place of being able to lift ourselves out of that without releasing that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, you know, we may be able to momentarily find every day, or in the small moments, we may be able to momentarily lift ourselves out of that, but without actually releasing it, we're not going to get into a place where we can experience that as our baseline.
Yes, and we have to understand it to release it.
Yes. All right, so touching on the highly sensitives, and I know that you have navigated your experience as a highly sensitive, as have I, and I also work with a lot of clients that have experienced this and do experience this. So I have my own sort of opinion on how this actually helps us in life rather than hinders us when we can learn to work with it and utilize it. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on, how being a highly sensitive actually has some benefit to us.
Yes. So it's something that I always struggled with and something that I hated. Like, you know, even 10 years ago, if I could change one thing about myself, it was my sensitivities, my anxiety, or all of that kind of stuff. But now I absolutely love it. I would not change it for the world. I think it's just such a benefit to, once you learn how to utilize it, how you can connect with people on such a deep level. And I use it in my healing all the time. I think a side effect of being so highly sensitive, like you were saying before, is that you just learn how to work with energy. So
and I think most of the people that do sort of grow up in this way of being super sensitive end up working in the realms of working with energy and working with others' energy because we are so sensitive to it, right?
Yes.
So it's actually our greatest gift.
Yes.
You know, the cliche. It's our greatest gift. But as well as that, and the other thing I think, and I don't know if this is just me, but I actually think that everyone has the capacity to be this sensitive to others, people's emotion and other people's energy, and heal in this way, utilize it as a gift. It's just that a lot of us are shut off to it.
Yes.
I also think many people are highly sensitive, but they don't actually realize, because it's been so full on for them, that they have shut themselves off to it, which this is all stuff within energy healing and energy medicine that we actually release and we relieve from ourselves so we can obtain our full gifts and our full sensitivity back.
Yes. And one of my favorite things working with people is when I get them to kind of really focus on and shift their consciousness to what they actually feel.
So in the work that you do and the clients you work with, what do people usually come to work with you for?
So usually when people come to see me initially, they're feeling quite stressed out, burnt out, and don't really have a specific thing that they know of that they want to clear. They're just feeling a certain way and want to feel better. So, and I think people have a preconception that energy healing is, a nice kind of gentle, relaxing thing, which it can be, but not really realizing the depth of what we can uncover and exactly why they're feeling so stressed and burnt out and all of those kind of things. So
which is again very similar to flower essences, because we can use them in these acute sort of once-off ways, or for calming ourselves, the classic bark rescue remedy that a lot of people know about, and it's utilized in this way of when we're overwhelmed or go through something shocking, we take that essence or a similar essence, and this is used to calm us, and it's that gentle medicine that helps us process stuff gently. But then on the other hand, they can be used in this really deep way of deep healing and sort of uncovering the hard stuff and releasing the hard stuff, which helps us to prevent that overwhelm.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so when you work with clients, is there specific themes or specific ways that you work with like the majority of your clients? Is there things that come up in similar ways for a lot of your clients?
Yes. So with all client sessions, like when I start the session and I tap into their energy, I always work on their nervous system and calming that down and just kind of getting that into a nice, relaxed, balanced state. I find that no one really has a nice, relaxed nervous system when I first, check into them. So, and the deepest healing that we can do is when we're in like that theta state. So when they're nice and relaxed and in that kind of state, then I can kind of get into the different layers of their energy and their energy bodies. And clearing things that are not theirs, clearing, like energies from technology.
Yes, EMS as well.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And entity attachments as well, which these negative energies or these negative kind of entity forms can attach themselves to us and our energy field when we have these kind of, I guess you would call it like these wounds, I think. These lower vibrational feelings from the experiences that we've had. So, and they can kind of really just get stuck in our energy field and make it really hard to release and move forward from there.
Yeah, it's that thing of when we have a stuck emotion, when we have trauma or stress held in our body, and this stuck emotion held in our body, like we've talked about, it's vibrating at that and resonating at that lower frequency. So anything that comes into our field that is of that similar lower frequency can actually attach itself to us because we're attracting it in through that resonance, that resonance action. And so, that's where we get these things attaching to us, right? And so it can be really helpful as well with energy medicine and energy healing to combine them as well to release the trauma and release the stress, the emotion, and then with the energy healing sort of release those attachments and things that have sort of like latched on from there as well.
Yes, because these things can really impact our lives and really impact us emotionally, and we can't see them and we don't know they're there.
Yes.
So,
And they come as well through things like technology.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes.
And I guess that takes us back to when you were talking about what initially you were so interested in flower essences was, utilizing them for protection and for boundaries, like energy protection and energetic boundaries. Because we move through our days and we're on our phones. I reckon now people are on their phones, for 50% of their life. Like, I don't think that's an exaggeration. Or their computers, whatever it may be. And we don't realize that this whole time, not only is the energy of that technology, sort of the EMFs and that sort of realms sort of impacting us energetically and physically because it manifests from there, but also whatever it is that we're actually seeing and listening to and watching on these technologies is in itself can sort of affect us to that level that they're sort of resonating at.
Like the energy behind what you're listening to and what you're watching. Yes, absolutely gets stuck in your field.
So this is why when we talk about listening to true crime podcasts and things like this, we can actually allow that vibration and that frequency into our own energetic bodies. So like that really hardcore violence and fear. The fear is the biggest part, the fear from that. We actually take that on ourselves if we don't have these energetic boundaries and energetic clearing practices and energetic protection that we can get through energy healing and flower essences. It's pretty wild. It's a wild world out there. It is, that's for sure. Cool. Well, that's awesome and I love it. And just again, it's been so beautiful to intertwine the two practices and work with them together because they just really amplify each other and sort of work in that way. It's like one thing uncovers something and then the next practice uncovers the next, and it's just like it builds that momentum. And I already thought flower essences were so fast acting themselves, and like you said, you experience that as well, but when we can utilize the energy practices at the same time to amplify and clear that stuff even quicker, it actually is like
it's pretty powerful.
It's very powerful stuff. Okay, so then this is our last question, And that is, and this is something I'm going to be asking all of my guests, but the question is, what do you think we need most as a collective right now?
I think we need the most to connect back to nature and to connect back to our human self and recognize the power in the human, actually, and the amazingness of the human, and to utilize all of the different aspects of the human, you know, like feeling and using energy is such a human thing. If you did not have a human body, how would you experience or manipulate energy in that kind of way?
Yeah.
So it's all through the human body.
Yeah.
So I think that's really missing in a lot of spiritual practices or teachings or things like that. Like if we can incorporate that into our daily lives, I think it would have a very profound shift.
And even just the practice of, because things that take us away from this connection are things like technology, right? And so it's a practice of where can we replace some of our actions and behaviors for being present and tuning into ourselves and really feeling that energy. Because the more we do that, I feel like the more we start to connect, and the more we realize these other things like being on technology 24/7, or, you know, watching shows, or, you know, searching for materialistic things outside of ourselves, they are not fulfilling.
Yes.
They're not fulfilling, and we get to this place where ultimately what we want isn't fulfilled by these things, and we're really unhappy.
Yes.
And the thing that's going to provide us with that contentment is connecting back to nature and being present and seeing the beauty and seeing, you know, what nature and the universe has to offer us.
Yes. And I think as well it just kind of stops us from seeking all of the answers from outside of ourselves, like trying to kind of reach for something that's outside of ourselves, or whether it's speaking to your spirit guides or trying to channel, or, you know, things like that. It's once you're comfortable in your own energy and in your own skin, and you know how to use that energy and connect with yourself, then you have all of the answers within you. So
beautiful. I love that. Cool. So more connection. More connection and more valuing what we actually have rather than looking outside of ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. And that's what I guess both of us love to teach within our practices. Like, you are there to guide people into tapping into that in themselves. And with the flowers are just a tool to be able to build your own consciousness and that connection to yourself and to nature and all that is around you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Dennae, for being on the podcast today. I've loved it, as I do love talking with you all the time. If any of the audience would like to find you anywhere, or if you have anything to share, please do.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Heart of Indigo, and you can book one of my offerings. So I offer energy healing and intuitive coaching packages as well. So yeah, that's the best place to find me.
Beautiful. And if anyone has any questions about flower essences or energy healing or anything else from today's episode, you can get in touch with us via our Instagram, which is The Flower Prophecies. You can also, if you'd like to work with flower essence therapy yourself or try this modality, you can find my offerings at hekahealing.com.au. That's HEKA. And I'm also on TikTok, The Flower Prophecies. And if you enjoyed today's episode, I would love it if you could share on socials or comment or rate on whichever platform you are listening or watching. I'd be so appreciative. I just want to get this healing modality and all of this amazing inspirational information and tools out there as much as possible, so we can connect everyone back with nature and themselves. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you again next week. We're going to deep dive into an individual essence next week, so that will be fun, and I look forward to seeing you there.